Yes, good evening and welcome to the program. So the music in the background, it's a classical song. It's by a guy called Paul Wilbur, and the name of the song is called "Your Name Is Holy." So I'm continuing with our series on relationships. So, we talk about these things. Remember, we're talking about this topic primarily because we want to be relevant in people's lives. Church is not only for going to heaven, but we need to enjoy life here on earth. According to John 10, He has come that we might have life and have it much more abundantly. That's what Jesus says. So, and one of the areas of enjoying life is by having good relationships. So we're talking about man-female relationship, man-woman. So tonight I would like to speak to unmarried people as well again. But married people as well will benefit from this talk, because I'm speaking about the dangers of having sex outside marriage. So I know when pastors speak, there's other ways that they don't mention. Sex is one of them. People start closing their eyes, people start shivering when the pastor speaks of sex. Unfortunately, we need to address this and help people out there. So remember, the word of God is here to deliver people. So now, having sex outside of marriage, remember, in sex, there is an element of giving. There's an element of giving. So now let me just tell you, a man gives differently and a woman gives differently. A man will give love in order to have sex, but a woman will give sex so that she can have love. I wonder if you get it. Anyway, let's jump that one. So let me speak about the dangers of having sex outside of marriage. So now, in this case, it is both fornication and adultery. Look, I won't go into the details of explaining the technicalities between fornication and adultery. Treat all of them as sex outside of marriage, whether married or not, whether single or not. If you have sex outside of marriage, this is what we're talking about today. Number one, there is emotional damage. Emotional damage. Now, let me read what the Bible says in Proverbs chapter 6, verse 32. But he who commits adultery with a woman lacks understanding. He that does it destroys his own soul. So now remember, there is attachment. There is attachment. What is happening there? There is attachment because there is a release and there's a reception. So, I think you all know we live in South Africa, especially in South Africa, yeah. There's been a lot of teen suicides. And then these teenage suicides, if you investigate them, they started from having sexual relations out there. Why? Because when you are involved in there, you are giving yourself away. Your emotions are affected one way or another. Your soul is affected one way or another. There is an attachment that goes out there. So now, suppose you continuously have it with people and then you are not in a committed relationship, you don't commit, you change, then continue, you change, continue. There is something called soul ties. We'll get back to that maybe sometime at the end of the program, if we have time. Because it is so important that we understand this, Christians. I know Did you know why do false prophets get their powers by sexual perversion? Because it is the highest form. I mean, after the blood, it is the highest form after the blood where a covenant is made. We know that the covenant is made by the blood. That is why people sacrifice people sacrifice animals, people batwalang abantu. And there's also sexual perversion. I mean, haven't you realized, maybe some of you might not be aware, haven't you realized that people that go and twala out there, they are given rules under which to operate, and one of them is by being gay or by being homosexual. I mean, look around. Gays and homosexuals have money. Gays and homosexuals are, seem to have it all. And they are everywhere. Why? Because sexual contact is a form of a covenant. It's a form of a marriage. So now, it means if somebody has it with person A, then next week with person B, the other one is person C, their conscience dies. Why? Because they're married to everyone. And besides, if you're emotionally attached to everyone, it will cause problems in your own marriage should you get married one day. We'll come to that one later. It will cause problems in your own marriage because you'll start fantasizing about the past. Anyway, now, emotional damage. There is a story in the Bible of Amnon and Tamar. It's found in 2 Samuel chapter 13, verse 1 to 20. Look, it's too long. I won't be able to read the whole chapter here. But please just take a note of it and go and read it tonight before you go to bed. 2 Samuel 13, verse 1 to 20. It's about Amnon and Tamar. So now, did you know that other people get depressed? Because if they sleep with somebody and there is no commitment that goes on, meanwhile they had expectations. So now, remember I said a woman gives sex so that she can get love. So now if she doesn't get this love, it causes depression. Why? Because she's given it. She's given in, hoping that no, this man will love, this man will commit, this man will be okay, this man will do everything. But this man simply, he was on his journey somewhere else. So many women do get depressed. Many women do get depressed. Number 2, unwanted pregnancies. Look, I know people will say that no, we prevent and all those kind of things, and then we use protection. Look, you are only protecting against sickness and disease, but then you never know. If the protection was working, we wouldn't be having children out of wedlock today. But then it's continuing. It is continuing. Even in the churches, it's happening. Churches, it's happening. We cannot run away from it. I mean, the challenge of us pastors is we need to be tactful. We don't want to go in there and condemn people, because the person that you are castigating today might be a great person tomorrow. This person might be learning a lesson, and you need to be part and parcel of their lesson. I mean, remember, not all children come from male and female headed homes. Some children come from single parents where there is no daddy, and the mother is alone, and the mother is trying so hard to work hard to bring bread on the table, and then she doesn't have time to be able to do certain things. And there is not that male authority that can exert pressure, that can demand things. They don't have time to do homework. So now kids are kids. So now we need to understand. And some women who may be single may also be tempted to have sex outside of marriage, hoping that they will get love, hoping that they will get somebody to marry them. And those things don't happen, and it causes depression. I mean, you go to the hospital and interview people in the psychiatric ward. Most of them are depressed. Look, psychiatric does not necessarily mean that you are mad. No. Psychiatric means you've got health issues, mental health issues. It could be depression. Depression is a mental health problem. Narcissism is a mental health problem. So now, understand this, Christians. We need to help one another here. Having engagement in sex before marriage may cause depression. Number 2, I said unwanted pregnancies, right? Now, unwanted pregnancies may result in single parenting. And then when there is single parenting, automatically there is a challenge there. I mean, a woman will try to raise a boy, and a woman has never been a man before. She cannot raise that boy in exactly how a boy is supposed to be raised. Unless this woman is a prayerful woman, she asks for wisdom from God. So now, I mean, I may not be able to raise a girl the way that women are supposed to be raised. Why? Because I've never been a woman before. That is why 2 parents are necessary in the home. Did you know the sad thing about the statistics, especially in South Africa, 60% of children grow up in single-headed families, single-parent-headed families, either a mother only or a father only. 60%. Now, can you just imagine the kind of upbringing? So that is why you find that we as pastors sometimes we've got problems in our churches. Because when the children come to church, they go into the youth and everything else. When you exert that fatherly pressure, you've got rebels coming out of these children. Why? Because at home they don't have this kind of authority. They are not. It is foreign to them. They don't know. They don't know how to respond to it. Now that is why they rebel, and it creates a problem in society. So now it is critical that you understand this. Single parenting. Look, if your partner has passed on, it's still a challenge also. But unfortunately, you cannot control God there. But then we need to pray so hard, ask God to guide us. You know what does the Word of God says? Say in Isaiah 54, somewhere verse 5, verse 6, somewhere there. It says, "Your maker is your husband." Your maker is your husband. So meaning that if you are a single mother, prayer must be something that you hold on to every day. You say, "Father, help me raise these children. Father, help me that these children must not experience any gap. Father, help me." Why? Because that man may be out there fathering other children and not his own. So now it's critical that you rely on the Holy Spirit, you rely on God. So now if you have sex outside of marriage and the result is having a pregnancy, you are decreasing your chances of getting married. Let me tell you, I think men are the most selfish people you can ever find. I'm speaking here generally, not all men, but then most men. It is this man that will tell you that, no, I want to marry somebody who doesn't have children. Meanwhile, they've got children that they've left somewhere out there. So now, if you are a lady, unfortunately, you keep the pregnancy, you keep the child, and then you give birth to the child, and the child even takes your surname. So now, if that happens, Christians, if that happens, it decreases your chances of getting married, because there are men that are cowards out there. But then we thank God for the men that are willing to step up. To step up. Look, I don't call them stepfathers. I call them people that have stepped up to take the responsibility of fathering. And not everyone is blessed with such a man. So now remember, it will decrease your chances of getting married. I know some women don't want to hear this, but then unfortunately it must be said. It must be said. Whenever you've got children, so now expect to be rejected. Expect to be, because men will reject, no matter how beautiful you may be. Some of them will even start thinking the worst about you. And especially if you've got a child at a young age of 16, 17, 18. Oh, they think that, no, now you are just a free-for-all kind of a person. And it's something that you need to expect. Especially when you are a Christian, people will mock you. And then it's something that you need the resilience from God to help you go through these things. It started with sex outside of marriage. So now the more kids you have outside marriage, did you know that you are increasing poverty? You are increasing poverty because, number one, to maintain kids is expensive. To maintain kids is expensive. So now maybe you got a salary, the salary is not enough. The man is not playing his part. The man is busy out there gallivanting with other young girls and everything else. Now you deprive your child good education. You deprive your child all the provisions that they may need. You deprive them all the support that they may need. You deprive them the entertainment that they're supposed to get from their mother and their father. Now they are not even able to go to the movies. They don't understand the movies. They don't know who Morgan Bean is. So now whenever they meet young boys out there and the young boys take her out to Morgan Bean, she gets so impressed. So that is why your children must learn Morgan Bean from you, not from a boyfriend. Your children must learn all these restaurants, the Dross and all these restaurants, Natasha or Tasha's. They must learn them from you. They must learn aeroplane from you. Why? Because having kids outside of marriage, you perpetuate poverty. I mean, it does not matter how much you earn. That gap will always be felt. Number 3, health risks. You know, Christians, did you know that South Africa has got the highest number of HIV positive people in the world? In the world. And that's high. Eh? Millions of people in South Africa have got the health issue of HIV. And then you've got people that go out there and spread it. Some knowingly and others not knowingly. I mean, when you are in the heat of the moment, I mean, you may catch it. Then you expose yourself to health problems. And health problems affect other people. And then when you've got those health problems and when you come out and declare, guess what? You get discriminated against. When you discriminated against, then you get depressed. Get depressed, then you end up in hospital. You come back from hospital, then after coming from hospital, you commit suicide. And then if you do not know Jesus, if you are not saved, guess what? Uzohamba uyotwala, uzohamba uyotwasa. I mean, look at all these people that are twassing. Many of them. I've conducted a few interviews. Many of them have got health issues. Why? Because they've been told. Then also you've got baby rapes, because some believe that if you sleep with a child, then this thing will go. So now it is a problem. It is a societal problem. Only it came from having engaged in sex outside of marriage. Look, this is serious. This is serious. Unfortunately, many pastors don't teach these things on the pulpit. But then in our place, we talk about this in a seminar. We take the whole day from 10 o'clock up until 5 o'clock in the evening, discussing these things. I mean, many get helped. Many get angry with us. But our aim is to make sure that we get help. We prevent this thing. We cut it before it spreads. So now, health risks. People may die. Now, when they die, guess what? They cause orphans to live alone. Now, when the orphans live alone, now they become child-headed families. It's a societal problem. So now you see how these things replicate and cause problems and multiply out of one small thing. Had people been disciplined enough and say, no sex outside of marriage, I don't want any problems. People may laugh at me. Let me tell you one of the pressures that people have out there. People will tell you that, no, you need to engage in sex, otherwise you'll get mad and all those kind of things. Here is the secret. There is no grave of a person who died because they didn't have sex. There is no such grave. But then I know of graves of people that died because they had sex. But there is no grave for somebody who died because they did not have sex. So don't ever listen to such things. People telling you that, no, you'll get mad and all those kind of. It does not work that way. Look, we need to restore the virginity, pride in our nation. We need to restore it. Our children must not experience what we experienced. Our children must not experience what we experienced. We need to make them proud of their virginity. We need to make them see what is happening in Swaziland and KwaZulu-Natal when the king comes around and looks at all the virgins and everything else. We need to make our kids proud again. So now with health risks, now people die, like I said. Number 2, it causes real estate problems. And now people will die, they don't have a will. You die, your child is using your mom's surname. The mom's surname. But the father has got another surname. Now when the father dies, now you want to go and claim so that they can be able to raise the child. Now there are problems. The child is not catered for. And the man died without a will. And the family start coming up and saying, no, this is not our grandchild, and so on and so on. No, it just causes so much problems, legal problems. That is why you need to get married and follow the laws of the country and marry legally, so that we know guti ngwana o ki ngwana wa house mang. We know papa gage le mama gage, they are married legally. Now when real estate problems comes after death, we know that we can be able to solve that problem. But then if we're not only men, maybe you've got 2 or 3 kids outside of marriage, and then with different men, and then you get the man that's going to marry you with all those 3 kids coming, and then you've got 3 baby daddies wanting to play an important role in their kids' life with this 4th man. Can you imagine how much damage it will cause to your own marriage? Even if the man is patient, let me tell you, he cannot stomach 3 baby daddies coming and knocking on every Friday to fetch the kids to go and buy them a Happy Meal at McDonald's. So now we're creating these high risks. And it's something that we can stop. So now all the solutions, Bazalwane, are found in the book of Corinthians. Remember, the Corinthians were a corrupt church. Sexually immoral people were the Corinthians. So Paul was giving them advice. Sex is a sign of a marriage covenant. So now, whether we like it or not, whenever you engage, it's like a covenant that is being entered into with that person. And you know, covenants are difficult to break. Covenants have got a claim on you. Covenants have got a claim on your property, your wealth, everything, your mind. They captivate you. So now if we do not take care, Bazalwane, let us respect this act of sleeping together. Let us respect it. I mean, as I was saying before, the false prophets, they make their churches strong by entering into covenants of this nature. I mean, some of you are still going to be shocked there. I know of pastors who are gay, pastors who are homosexuals, and their churches are big. Some of you are still going to be shocked because this year many are going to be revealed. It started last year. It's a continuation. You'll be shocked. But why they enter into covenants with the dark world, with the underworld out there, using sex? I mean, yes, they are married to females, but then that is just a cover-up. That is just a cover-up. Look, I'm not going to sit here and name names. No, I won't. But then you'll be shocked. You'll remember this day, the 20th of February, 2025. He said, no, Mukoki mentioned it. So now, there are signs, Bazalwane, of covenant. We know that with the Noah covenant, there was a rainbow, which was a covenant that God made. With Abraham, the covenant was circumcision. Marriage covenant, sex. I mean, you can go and read, Bazalwane, in the Bible. Whenever they got married, then they would spend the night together to solidify, to make this marriage strong. So, Christians, we need to bring back virginity in our places, in our churches, in our homes. We need to make our kids proud. We need to make our kids know that they don't have to fall for pressure from people. Remember, we are building a nation here. We are building a nation. We are going to point number 5. If you engage in sex before marriage, there will be lack of commitment. There will be lack of commitment. I mean, what man will commit if he's getting everything for free? What man will commit? He knows that, no, wherever I lay my head, that's my home. Some people will tell you that they are the Rolling Stones. They gather no moss. There will be no commitment. I mean, living together, Bazalwane, fat and sad, is not the solution. It's not the solution. I mean, it may be, some people simply, they'll tell that, no, they're afraid of getting married. Why are they afraid? If they're afraid to get married, then they must be afraid to have sex too. They must be afraid to have sex. Finish and clear. Why would they want to enjoy this side while they don't want to commit on the other side? So living together, Bazalwane, you know, there are some statistics that I picked up from some researcher who was studying sociology from the old Vista University. 15% of people who are staying together end up being married and have long-lasting relationship. 15% of people who stay together, fat and sad, actually get married, sit together, and establish a family, permanent family that's going to last up until the end of their lives. 15%. 85%, they end in disaster. 85% end in disaster. Look, I know, sure, it may seem as if, people are having fun out there. But then we need to think long term, Christians. We need to think long term. What kind of generation do we want? What kind of grandchildren do we want? Are we going to leave good things for our kids? Or are we going to let them suffer now? What do you want to do? What do we want to do? So now Lungile is written there, Umkosi Womhlanga, yes, pride, ye virginity. So now, guys, let us do the best for our kids. Let us do the best for our kids. So I've got so many verses here. So unfortunately, remember this presentation, I normally do it at seminars where people can ask questions when we go through everything and go through the scriptures and everything else. Here on TV or here on Facebook, it's a bit difficult because we can't communicate. Point number 6. There is an element of oppression and possession, demon possession and demon oppression. So remember this, one can be oppressed by a demon. Did you know that when somebody sleeps with this person, there are some people that go out to witch doctors and everything else and put their stuff in their bodies and everything else, and then you become so addicted. Then you end up going everywhere searching for this thing. And then you're oppressed by the demon because people were told. People were told. Not everyone is pure at heart. Abantu was told. People go out and visit Ndumben out there and take things that they come and use in their relationship. I mean, you go onto YouTube, you'll be so shocked. You'll be so shocked. There is a podcast, Black Life. Go out there and search for it on YouTube, Black Life. Black and BLAQ. Go out there and search and read what people do out there. So now you do not want to risk your life with demon oppression and demon possession. And when you are oppressed by these things, sometimes they come and sleep with you at night, spiritually. Why? Because now you are so addicted to them. They become your spiritual husband. And did you know, Christians, look, I don't want to go a lot into demonology. It's another subject that we're going to handle sometime before March, before the end of March. I don't want to delve into demonology. But then these spiritual husbands have got a way of blocking your natural life so that you repel men. And men don't want to marry you. Men don't want to get close to you. Why? Because they see you as married already, even if you may not have a ring. But these demons have got a way of showing, of preventing men from marrying you. Anyway, this we'll discuss when we go to the subject of demonology, where we study demons. Point number 7. Sex outside marriage. It clouds your decision-making ability. It clouds your decision-making ability. I mean, let me tell you, you ask any young person that are busy engaging out there, you can never advise them anything. Eh? You can never advise them anything. They think that you are crazy. And they will even tell you, hey, usiyeke sidle ubusha bethu. That's what they say. When undlulile ebusheni bakho, let us enjoy our youth. But then they forget verses like, can I read you a verse quickly? Ecclesiastes chapter 12. Let me read it for you quickly. It says, remember now your Creator in the days of your youth, while the evil day are not here, nor the years drawn near, when you shall say, I have no pleasure in them, when the years come, while the sun or the light or the moon or the stars are not darkened, nor the clouds return after the rain. Remember the days. Remember your Creator in the days of your youth. Now there are people that are remembering their Creator in the days of their youth. But if bengilalele ubabami, if bengilalele umfundisi wami, had I listened to my mother, had I listened to my aunt, had I listened to my pastor, I would not be in this situation today. Now, unfortunately, and we need to talk about these things. We need to talk about these things. So sex outside of marriage will cloud your relationship. Let me tell you, look, I don't want to go erotically and draw pictures in your minds of what's going on in there. But the thinking is not there. Logical thinking is not there. And sometimes when logical thinking is not there, there will be no protection. There will just be, no, it won't happen. We won't get kids. We won't, I'm clean. I don't have sickness and everything else. So now such things, decisions are taken quickly there. And some of these decisions taken have got horrible outcomes. And you feel that you can reverse it. But you can't. Because when it's done, it's done. When it's done, it's done. It will only be a life of regrets. Point number 8. It has got adverse effects on marriage. Now look, you've slept with so many people, not you per se, but I'm saying this person has slept with so many people out there. Now they go and get married. And then their sexual life is not great. Why would it not be great? It's because they've experienced out there. Now they come into the marriage with experience. I mean, there was this lady, she was not happy with her husband. Then she went to an adult shop and got these toys. And the husband discovered the toys. She didn't tell the husband. Now the husband was furious. The husband instituted divorce simply because of toys. Why? Because this lady had been everywhere, but the husband was not meeting the standards of her experience. So you see how dangerous this is. So now, when you have done it everywhere, you start comparing and saying, oh, this one, this one, this one, this one, and you'll even lose your emotional attachment to your own husband. Because when you're busy, when it's busy, you'll be thinking of somebody else. There will be so much damage in your mind, in your brain. There will be a sense of guilt that you feel. There will be flashbacks that trouble you and your mind every day. So now it is important that you, we need to guard our kids. We need to teach these things. I mean, like I said, there will be flashbacks, there will be comparing, there will be feelings of guilt. And then when it gets to that, when it comes to flashbacks and everything else, it will be easier. It will be easy to commit adultery. Why? Because no, you are not satisfied in the house. Like this woman that got toys. It's as good as committing adultery. And the man was furious. Maybe you can write to me there and tell me if this man was correct or not. The man instituted divorce. Let me hear your comment there. The man was right or the man was wrong, or the man should have forgiven. No, look, it's not so easy. It's not so easy. Last point. It destroys intimacy. It destroys intimacy in the family. You can't be intimate anymore. Why? Because your mind is that side, your mind is that side. And a marriage without intimacy is as good as dead. A marriage without intimacy, where the wife is tired every day. No, it's not tiredness. It's thinking about something else. Something else. Tammy says he was correct, even though he acted out of emotions. No, Christians, let us be fair. Let us be fair. We need proper relationships. We need proper relationships. Excuse me. Our relationships must last. We need to stop the wave of divorces. Because the more we divorce, the more our kids grow without parents. The more they hate marriage. The more they continue, the more this thing becomes a generational curse in our families. I mean, obviously, Barcelona, there is a problem where the mother, where the grandmother is divorced, where the mother is divorced, when the child, the daughter is also divorced, and they've got a small girl who is 12 years, 13 years of age, and they are not giving them good advice. What is she going to learn? What is she going to learn? Now she will think that divorce is natural. Divorce is normal. Divorce is the thing to do. Now she thinks that, no, look, I mean, in daughter, when the men, what, then respect Iseko. Respect Iseko, and they expect to progress in life. And when they come to church, we want to put them in line. They don't listen. Why? Because they don't have a history. They don't have a history in their family. Anyway, let's stop at 7 o'clock. Thank you very much for all your contributions. Sure, there are so many contributions today. Thank you very much for all your contributions. I truly Welcome. Let us work towards good relationships. It's a work in progress, but we can get there. And sex is one way in which we can damage our families, our lineage, our children, our grandchildren. We can damage the whole family generation simply because small thing. Yeah. Good night, everybody. Let's meet again tomorrow, Friday, for the last installment.